some personal life stuff, which is something I usually don't do too often, and especially not to dedicate an entire video towards. But I recently had some quite positive news, really positive news. So I've just kind of been reflecting a bit and, thinking about the changes in my life going forward. So to take it back a little bit before I get into all that, since high school, basically since my freshman year, I have been completely enraptured with digital media, mainly videography and filmmaking, but also graphic design, video games, things like that, and to a somewhat lesser extent, social media. All 4 years of high school, I participated in the Advanced Video Production program, which included doing live sports broadcasts that went out over channels broadcast on Comcast, doing narrative video projects like short films and things like that. And that was part of my entire high school experience. After graduation, I set up this little production company with some friends from that program. We entered into some film festivals, things like that. But then that group of us, we kind of started drifting apart. People went on different life paths. Some people moved away. And then I started working as an independent contractor, which I've still been doing up to this point. After that, and I was doing real estate videos. I was doing digital ads for companies, music videos, weddings, those sorts of things. And I was doing that up until I moved here. I still did a little bit of it after I moved here, but the whole time I was doing that, I was doing other work that I didn't really want to be doing. I worked at a bank for a little bit. I made a lot of money working at the bank, but I was just absolutely miserable there. I ended up quitting after just a few months. I worked at a deli for a little while. I worked at Adidas for a little while. Honestly, I quit Adidas to go work at the bank, and at the time that was a big mistake because I hated the bank, but I really liked working at Adidas, even though I was making no money there. But I had this thing that I really wanted to work, and I was making money doing it, but it wasn't enough to cover everything, so I had to do these other things on the side. And then over the years, I have started so many YouTube channels. I have probably 4 or 5 of them. This is the one that I have seen the most success with. I had one where I was posting like short films and little sketches and things like that too. I think I have like 800 subscribers on that. Didn't really go anywhere. There was this YouTube channel I used to watch for years and years called Funhouse, which was like a comedic gaming channel, and that inspired me to kind of do the same thing. And I had like 3 or 4 friends, and we would sit down and like record gameplay, but like do it in a comedic way. That channel has like 30 videos, I think, but only like 20 subscribers. So I had a lot of these different projects. I was really, I've been really passionate about it my whole life. I just kept, hitting these roadblocks. So then late in life, I decided to go back to, for the first time, college. I was sitting there, I was so focused, like, trying to make this stuff work, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I should try a different approach, and I went to, I'm not gonna say the name of my exact degree, because it's only offered at one university, so kind of a dox, but, I went in for this very, specialized degree, very unique degree that was basically like, we're gonna teach you videography, we're gonna teach you basically how to use every Adobe product. So I learned graphic design, I learned 3D modeling, I learned I made a video game in this program, all sorts of digital skills. They taught us social media management skills, just like this wide variety of like digital content making skills. I got my degree in that. And my thing here is like, okay, well maybe with this degree, like, this will help me break into this field, because this is a field I'd been, at that point, like for almost a decade, trying to get my foot in the door, and I was making little baby steps, like, I tiptoed in the door a little bit, but now, never mind, not really able to ever get where I wanted to get a job in that digital media, videography, social media industry. I moved here to Australia, February of last year. I finished up the last semester of my degree online while I was here. So, I finished my degree, like I said, online while I was here, and I only had one semester left, and it was easy enough. It was pretty much just elective step points. They gave me an exception to finish it online. So I was like, okay, well now, like, I have these years of experience. I can, my resume looks alright. I have my college on there. I have my years as a independent videographer, and like I have my editing reel and all this other stuff, plus a lot of the stuff I did for my degree, because it was so varied. Like I created concert posters, like I said, I made a video game, all this stuff. I'm able to put that all in a portfolio that I can send to employers. But then being here, it was a real struggle. Basically from the day I graduated, I threw out hundreds of applications, anything that mentioned like digital media, digital content creator, social media manager, any of that stuff, and it was like radio silence pretty much for months and months and months. And I had different ways of making money. Well, here, like, I had the YouTube channel, plus I was still doing some editing work, and some other things, so, but it was definitely, things were, like, getting tighter, and I was like, okay, well, like, at some point, something's gotta give here, and it's just extremely frustrating, right, because I'm like, well, I know I have the experience, and the skill set, like, I built that up over years and years. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I just needed the piece of paper, and then I got the degree, I got the piece of paper. But then even then, like, it was just still not working. I'm like, man, like, what do I gotta do to, like, break in here? Like, get my foot in the door somewhere, I just need, like, one break. This industry I've been, like, I've dedicated basically my entire life to getting into. I'm like, I can't, like, go back to square one and, like, try to learn how to be an electrician now. Like, I'm too old at this point. Like, I've dedicated my time and efforts to this. But for a long time, I felt like I was just, like, slamming my head into the wall. And I had 2 interviews that went really good. I felt like they saw my application, they reached out to me, we talked. I'm not gonna name names. There's like one that's a pretty big Australian YouTube channel here. I was gonna be their main editor and some other things, and they straight up told me, like, oh, we're not gonna hire you because you're a foreigner, even though I'm here on a long-term relationship visa. Like, I'm not going anywhere, and I have full work rights with my visa. They're like, oh, because you're not an Australian citizen, like, we don't want to hire you. And then I had the exact same thing happen at a different place, where I had a good interview, I felt like, with them. Was super cordial. I was, like, talking to the boss a lot and stuff. But again, it came down to, like, oh, it's between you and an Australian citizen, and so we're just gonna give it to them. So I was like, okay, well, that's, like, soul crushing, because I can't help the fact that, I'm a foreigner, and my fiance lives here, so, like, I can't leave. So I'm like, man, did I, like, somehow sink myself, like, relocating? Like, is that just, like, the nail in the coffin? So, not even, like, the last few months have been super, super stressful, because it feels like, the walls are closing in a bit. So I was like, okay, like, I need to, something's gotta give, whether it's, like, my YouTube blowing up so it can be my full-time income, or, like, whatever. And then, like, out of the blue, I get this call from this company that, I'm gonna be honest, I don't even remember applying for. Like, it's not one I applied for recently. It must have been months and months ago. And they said, like, hey, I have your resume here on my desk, like, can you come in, like, in like 3 days to come talk with me? And it's, like, a pretty big fitness brand here in Australia, like a pretty, established thing. I was like, okay, absolutely. Like, they called, and like I said, I didn't remember applying, so I kind of, like, was BSing my way through the phone call. Like, I did remember that I had to, like, look it up, like, what's this company, what's this position? So I went in, this was, like, 3 weeks ago, had a great interview with the guy, super cordial, the vibe of the place was super, super chill, laid back, I kind of impressed him a little bit, because I basically was like researching the company, and I was looking at their social media. So I was like, okay, you're using this strategy for this platform, you're using this strategy for this platform, you have this handle that's parked but you're not using it, so you're gonna want me to launch that. So I went into the interview like, oh, so I'm gonna do this type of content for this platform because you're targeting this audience. On this platform I'll do this because you're targeting this age group, and you have this social media handle that you're gonna want me to launch that, and I think this would be the best way to launch this, and this is the audience we want to target with this. But the problem was like that my interview was like on a Friday, and the next week the dude, he was like the top guy, he's like, oh, I'm going on vacation for a week and a half, so you're not gonna hear anything from me. So I was kind of in limbo. So I was like, okay, well, while he's gone, I'm gonna do something to like put myself above the other candidates, because when I went in there I saw the stack of resumes and it was like there's probably 50 of them. I was like, alright. So I went online and like I downloaded all their branding, looked at all of their posts and campaigns, and I basically looked at their last like 10 social media campaigns and completely redesigned them using their branding, their colors, their voice, but in my style. And then I did mock-ups of all these different posts, and I just sent them to the guy. So when he came back into the office, like the first thing he's gonna see was like, oh, there's this one candidate for the job that literally remade all the social media posts on our platforms in his style. And I was like betting on the fact that nobody else would do that. And literally that day he got back, he called me and was like, hey, we want you to come in and do this job. So, I'm not gonna go, super into the details, but basically I'm like the full-time head of digital content creation and social media for this fitness company here. My job is basically to do graphics for their Facebook and Instagrams, do TikToks, do Instagram Reels, like try to connect to people, bring in new members, communicate campaigns and information about the brand. And I didn't realize like how much stress and how much like sort of self-loathing I'd been holding about that. Because like I said, it felt like there was this one thing I'd been working towards for like almost 2 decades. Like, I want to work in this industry. I'm gonna slowly build up my portfolio. I'm gonna do work for next to nothing just to, try and get some recognition. And oh, there's this bigger name guy who he needs a second videographer to help him with the wedding. He's an established brand. He's gonna pay me $50 for a 10-hour shift. Well, I'll do that because maybe he'll remember me, and it's just things like that when you're a starving artist trying to become an established artist, those are the things you do to try to become a name. And for years and years, like, man, I did all that for nothing. That's what it felt like. I was like, it was terrible. I was like, I'm a failure. All that, I went and paid all this money to get a degree, and I'm not even gonna be able to use it, and all that. Meanwhile, I'm seeing other friends who are in the industry that I want to be in. They were getting jobs and careers and getting into places. But finally, the years of slamming my head into the door finally broke open, and yeah, it's I don't even know how to describe it, because it's I got to a certain point where I didn't think it would happen, and then it did. But I don't anticipate any changes to this channel. Still gonna be trying to do 5 videos every single week, like I have been doing. I mean, when I very first start, like my first week, there might be a little bit of a interruption, but probably not, because I batch. Well, I did, until the sickness thing, but for the most part, I tried to batch my content as much as I can. Like, if you're watching a video on Monday, I want to make sure I have Tuesday and Wednesday already uploaded and ready to go. So, I don't anticipate that changing. And if it ever gets to the point where I feel like I can't keep up and I'm going to reduce content, obviously I will make a video expressing that, so anybody that has memberships or whatever else can like cancel or adjust accordingly. But yeah, I just wanted to share. I usually don't like to talk about these sorts of topics about myself, but just some really, really positive news in my personal life after a long string of some not so great news recently. And yeah, just a huge weight off my chest. But I am still fully dedicated and committed to uploads here, so that's another aspect of making this video, just to say I'm not going anywhere even with life changes. So yes, thank you guys so much for watching. A regular type of video will be up tomorrow, but I just wanted to share all of this with you guys. So if you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this almost every single day. And until next time, guys, bye bye.